and destroyed houses. But the floods are still from over as meteorologists predict torrential rains in Douala and Marwa, while Yaoundé will experience worst rains in September. And military forces arrest 40 suspects and seize ammunition in Pendamboko in Moyoka subdivision as they search for separatists behind the killings of Comfort Tumasang. Pioneer female member of parliament and minister Delphine Changa has been laid to rest for eternity in Bankomo. During the official ceremony, she was posthumously decorated with the Medal of Knight of the National Order of Valor. And those are top stories. Good evening. This is the 7:30 news in Yaoundé with me, Gladys TATAH.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
The rain and subsequent floods that dictated the rhythm of life in the city of Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, has been described by many as the worst since over 60 years. While inhabitants are grateful for no loss in human life, they, however, regret that there is damage in property estimated in billions. Veronica Benyela toured some of the hardest hit neighborhoods this morning and reports that the consequences of the flood are enormous.
This morning in Douala, traces of water levels on walls is the visible witness of the horror of yesterday. Water rose above 2 meters inside some houses, and inhabitants have lost it all. After spending the night elsewhere, they are trying to recover what they can and move on. Many businesses have lost so much that it will take them some time to recover.
When we look at the damages, if we globalize everything, we are around 60 million.
The massive flood has spurred councils into action. This is the case of the Douala 1 Urban Council, where the mayor, Jean-Jacques Lengue Malapa, held an emergency crisis meeting.
With quarter heads, we are trying to identify victims. For now, a few dozen have been identified, but we expect to have more.
The sun is gradually smiling down on Douala again, proof that beyond every nimbus cloud, there is a blue sky.
Meteorologists forecast a heavy downpour and floods in the days ahead in Douala and Marwa, while Yaoundé on its part will experience its worst rains in September. According to experts, the increased heavy and persistent rains can be attributed to climate change. Joyce Kimbi Fawaju talked to weather and environmental experts and tells us more in the following report.
Images like this may become a common scene in Douala in the next 2 months. Meteorologists predict worse persistent torrential downpours until September ending.
We discovered that there was a pressure system that developed over the Atlantic Ocean that went through the Gulf of Guinea and settled in littoral. That's to show that we can still have situations like this.
Yaoundé's heaviest rains are forecast for next month. Environmentalists point fingers to poor reclamation of land in Douala and Yaoundé, bad drainage management, careless waste disposals, and population increase, amongst others. Experts also see several consequences to come with the floods: water and habitat pollutions, crops destruction, trees uprooted by high-velocity water flow, amongst others. Emergency measures may therefore be needed to minimize the effect of the announced heavy rainfall in Douala and Yaoundé in the days ahead.
Guns, ammunition and other weapons have been confiscated and 40 people arrested in the locality of Pendamboko in Moyoka subdivision of the Southwest region following a joint security operation carried out by the Army and the National Gendarmerie. The operation is to secure the area that has witnessed security threats and acts of violence in recent times. Ombo Suzy Monjowa reports from CRTV Southwest in Boya.
In the past few weeks, the population of Pentamboko have suffered from acts of terrorism that resulted to the killing of a high school student, the abduction of 4 individuals, and the burning down of vehicles and the house of the CDC estate manager. The recent occurrences have prompted a joint security operation to suppress the insurgencies and isolate the rebels from the population.
We have been instructed to secure the area. We instructed our people to come and screen and take out all the bad people. We wanted to make sure that they are doing it professionally.
This operation, carried out by the 21st Motorized Infantry Brigade alongside the Gendarmerie, led to the arrest of many suspects and the confiscation of guns, ammunition and other weapons.
More than 40 people suspected. If they are guilty, they go to court. If they are not guilty, they will be released.
This joint military operation comes on the heels of the gruesome murder of the 35-year-old Comfort Tumasang in Moyuka and other acts of terror purportedly committed by separatist fighters.
The new prosecutor-in-chief of the Yaoundé Military Tribunal, Major Berlin Belinga, has the Herculean task of speeding up cases awaiting trial, ensuring cohesion among his staff, and updating their professional capacity for optimal output. The Director of Military Justice, Colonel Didier Sipa, gave the directives in addition to his traditional duties to the new prosecutor as he took command of the Yaoundé Military Court Friday. Kilianda Andifon tells us more.
Major Berlin Belinga, who officially takes command as prosecutor-in-chief of the Yaoundé Military Tribunal, knows his new post well because he comes from the Department of Military Justice where he served as legal expert. That notwithstanding, his new task is daunting.
We have advised him to do all in his capacity to reduce the number of detainees awaiting trial. Secondly, we have asked him to ensure cohesion here because it is a factor that would lead to attaining the objectives of the court. And finally, we have asked him to ensure the in-house training of persons under his command so as to guarantee the quality of service to be rendered in this court.
In addition to these directives, he also has the responsibility of handling terrorist offenses, piracy, cybercrime, and infringements linked to firearms. He takes over from Lieutenant Colonel Ngolo Tade Eric Constant, appointed prosecutor-in-chief at the Maroua Military Court.
Lieutenant Colonel Techa Felix has taken up function as commander of the 51st Military Engineering Corps in the Northwest region with the commitment to construct key projects in the region whose execution was delayed due to the current socio-political unrest. He was installed by the commander of the 5th Military Region, Brigadier General Nka Valère, as you tell us, Kilo Valerie Nsala in Bamenda.
The deplorable state of road infrastructure renders movement miserable for many travelers into and out of the Northwest. Its construction has been partly hindered by the close to 4 years socio-political crisis. The Military Engineering Corps in the Northwest believes it can succeed.
It's not easy for the higher command to supply us with all the equipment we need, but for the moment we have what is necessary. Where the terrorists are destroying the roads, destroying bridges to restore the traffic on those routes destroyed by the terrorists. And up to now, we are doing it well.
The construction of a monument in Bamenda in memory of fallen soldiers and the rehabilitation of the Commercial Avenue Grandstand with over 1,000 seats in 2010 are some major projects carried out by the Military Engineering Corps in the Northwest region.
And this press release just coming in within the framework of follow-up and evaluation of the effective implementation of the policy of promotion of official languages subsequent to the promulgation of law number 2019/019 of 24 December 2019 on the promotion of official languages in Cameroon. The president of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, His Excellency Peter Amafani Musonge, has deployed 13 mission teams to the 38 ministries of the country. And the above-mentioned teams will be visiting the said public institutions from the 24th to the 28th of August 2020. And this press release has been signed by the Secretary General of the NCP, BM, Dr. Chi Anafo Cornelius. The last but one chapter of our running series on the illegal exploitation of forest resources in the Sanaga Maritime Division littoral region focuses tonight on complacencies and complicities. There are suspicions and counter-suspicions regarding the people involved in the operations. And as Alphonse Abongwa Achu tells us, no one wants to take the blame for the deal, trapped in duplicity and deceit. Alphonse?
Chief Louis Mahom Tamak of Putkak village in Gambe shrugs his shoulders and stays clear of any knowledge of perpetrators of illegal exploitation of forest in his very backyard. The custodian of tradition says these days he spends time shuttling between Yaoundé and the village due to health exigencies. The mayor of the locality has impounded 2 logging trucks to show to the world he has nothing to do with these illegal exploiters except making them adhere to the law in force.
The elite even suspects me of collaborating with these vicious operators.
In a press outing, the regional delegate for forestry and wildlife for the littoral insinuates that the population often collaborate with the instigators of these illegal acts until when the booties are unjustly shared.
We want them to make a rapid denunciation. It's not that when they have a difficulty to share the money after exploitation, they call us. No.
Illegal exploitation is criminal, and all involved in such network run the risk of answering to the charges when the law takes its course.
The maiden edition of Women Executives and Potential Leaders Symposium has opened in Yaoundé with close to 200 women learning how to work together to achieve innovative performance in a challenging world. Through this initiative, the African Women in Leadership Organization Cameroon chapter wants to match mentors to mentees to work together so as to assist in the growth of young leaders. Details with Emanuela Vemnier.
They have understood that sticking together to face the challenges of a competitive world is the best way to achieve innovative performance. The African Women in Leadership Organization AULO Cameroon has united women executive and potential leaders to encourage and impact each other.
For them to be effective leaders, they need to acquire skills. It's no longer about a degree. It's about learning leadership skills like creativity, being a problem solver, being a strategic thinker. You use your emotions and your intelligence to be able to work with your employees.
If you give an opportunity for women to be empowered, you are giving an opportunity for more than half of Cameroon to be empowered.
In order to succeed, the women are being educated to change their mindsets.
Our aim is that next year we'll be able to have monitored and evaluated to see how efficient this method of mentoring is. We have 1 mentor is to 2 mentee. Women will be proposing key policy recommendations which will be presented to the minister to say that their voices will be heard technically.
8 ministries have backed the initiative as one that fosters women's growth.
Local councils in all the 10 regions of the country will in the upcoming months recruit over 1,800 conscripts of the National Civic Service Agency for participation in development. The decision comes after the signing of an accord in Yaoundé between the National Civic Agency for Participation in Development and the United Councils and Cities of Cameroon. Gerard Nanji Eyambe tells us more.
The win-win partnership between the National Civic Service Agency for Participation in Development and the United Councils and Cities of Cameroon has come to address the problem of unexperienced personnel in the councils.
We are happy that the agency is training youth who will be engaged in income generating as well as social and environmental activities.
An initiative that is geared towards fighting youth unemployment in the country.
They will employ our product, help them on the various campaign of sensitization in the domain of civis, in the domain of COVID. They will help them to put on their disposal fertilizer, earth, in order to develop their agricultural activities.
Volunteers of the National Civic Service Agency for Participation in Development will begin receiving training on agro-pastoral activities from Monday, August 24, 2020.
the wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Just a reminder that we should keep safe. A new set of trained nurses, midwives, teachers, theologians and accountants have been delivered to the job market. They are part of a group of 100 graduates from the Konsendi Adventist University of Nanga, Eboko. As Beatrice Losamba reports, this 22nd batch of students are of the country's lone accredited private university.
Fresh from school, stepping into the job market. The country's lone accredited private university, the Konsendi Adventist University of Nanga Eboko, is graduating its 22nd batch of students after their 3 to 4 year studies in 4 faculties of the school.
Be proud of your diplomas that government has endorsed.
Crescent tent makers, as their name suggests, they are capable of pitching job tents for themselves. In the words of the school's rector, Dr. Assam Jean-Paul, they have the skills and spiritual wellness put together to seize opportunities and break records in their different domains.
The emergency of 2035 is with all those young people, and I think Cameroon should have confidence in them. I can assure you that those people are good chaps and they can handle Cameroonian problems of tomorrow.
Accountants, bankers, midwives, resource managers and nurses set to integrate job markets in 8 African countries.
The Safety Net project of the Cameroon government, in collaboration with some international partners, will soon relieve the sufferings of extreme poor people of the Central African Republic and their host populations in Manjo subdivision in the East region. A technical committee has been put in place to follow up micro-projects to be carried out by volunteers for these populations for the interest of their community. Details with Mokom Robert Acho in CRTV, Bertua.
It is a technical committee made up of representatives of persons of different walks of life, including municipal councillors, traditional, religious and civil society authorities, that is charged with the selection of micro-projects to be financed by the Safety Net project for the interest of the community of the different localities of the Manjo subdivision. Under the supervision of the Said NGO, 1,000 extremely poor individuals, that is 500 Central African refugees and 500 indigents of the Manjo subdivision, will benefit from the project.
I am very happy with this project because it is a development of our population.
The execution of selected projects is supposed to go into effect as from October 2020.
Senior Civil Administrator Fitzgerald Nasako has been appointed as a board member to represent the President of the Republic at the National Hydrocarbons Corporation, SNH. He was appointed yesterday by presidential decree, as we hear in the following report with Charles Ebune.
The National Hydrocarbons Corporation is an enterprise of the first category, and to be appointed as a board member to represent the President of the Republic calls for this kind of celebration.
I have, in fact, words of gratitude to God, first of all, who inspired the head of state, President Paul Biya, to recognize me.
Almost 30 years spent in the central administration, Fitzgerald Nasako is heading into a sector he has an idea.
Part of my long experience, about 10 years, falls within the oil and gas sector. For the moment, I represent the head of state as a member of the board of directors.
The new board member comes from an area established as a well-furnished area with gas and oil resources.
Congratulations, Mr. Fitzgerald Nasako. And let's continue our tour of the different regions to get the pulse of the situation of COVID-19 spread. We take you over to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center to meet Dr. Jamailatu Leila, North Regional Delegate of Public Health. Hello, Baldwin. Tell us, we hear there is no active case of COVID-19 in that part of the region. Do you confirm?
Good evening, Gladys, TATAH, and welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, where a tour of the different regions this Saturday evening takes us to the north region of Cameroon. The peculiarity about this region is that it is the least affected region in terms of the spread of the coronavirus, given that presently there is no active case recorded in the north region after 133 persons had initially been tested positive. And I guess tonight is the North Regional Delegate of Public Health, Dr. Jamilatu Leila. Madam Regional Delegate, good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us, as the head of the Regional Delegation of Public Health in the North, give us an idea of the situation so far as the spread of COVID-19 is concerned in your region, and what measures have been put in place to limit the spread of this deadly virus in the North.
Okay, thank you. To date, we have 0 active cases of COVID-19 in the North region. According to the new orientation of the track, test and treat strategy, we offer the screening test to as many people as possible in order to be able to identify even those who are asymptomatic and give them the appropriate treatment. Particular emphasis is placed on sensitization at the community level with the support of the administrative authorities to get the population to continue to respect barrier measures.
And tell us, Madam Regional Delegate, one of those screening centers that has been very effective with the different equipment happens to be the Centre Pasteur in the North region of Cameroon. What accounts for such the effectiveness of that testing center in that part of the country?
Centre Pasteur is a reference lab. It initially served as a screening center for the 3 northern regions. Already having a molecular biology device, it was supplied with the necessary input to carry out the test. To date, 908 PCR tests have been carried out, with 130 positive in our regions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jamilatu Leila. You are the Regional Delegate for Public Health in the North region of Cameroon. Gladys, TATAH, you heard it from the Regional Delegate. 133 persons tested positive for COVID-19 in the North. 120 have recovered, 13 persons have died, and there is no active case for COVID-19 in the North region of Cameroon. Tomorrow, Sunday, we continue our tour of the different regions with the Adamawa region of Cameroon. Back to you, Gladys.
Well, quite good news there for the North region, Baldwin Sama. And onto this obituary, as you heard, the remains of Delphine Changa, first woman to become Member of Parliament and first woman to be appointed minister in Cameroon, have been laid to rest in her native Mesebe village in Bankomo subdivision of the Central region. She was posthumously decorated with the Medal of Knight of the National Order of Valor. President Paul Biya was personally represented at the burial by Central Regional Governor Naseri Paul Biya. Ebenezer Akanga is just back from Bankomo with the details.
This was the high point of the burial ceremony of Delphine Changa, former member of the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon. On behalf of the head of state, Naseri Paul Biya decorated her posthumously with the Medal of Knight of the National Order of Valor. Delphine Changa was the first woman to become a member of parliament in Cameroon and the first woman to be appointed minister. But she remained a caring mother.
We learned a lot from her. Being her daughters, being her children, we learned a lot. And we knew that she was not only a mother, but she was also a public figure. We had to accept all the other children, all the other Cameroonians who came towards her for counseling, for advice.
Until her death, she was a member of the Electoral Board of Elecam.
A woman of conviction, courage, and a lot of moderating aptitudes. And we will go to miss it in Elecam, which will assure her that we will do the continuation of the work in the election Cameroon.
Delphine Changa is dead, but Delphine Changa leaves behind a heritage as far as women's emancipation in Cameroon is concerned.
Soul rest in perfect peace. Some youths in the North region are engaged in weaving and embroidery during these holidays to keep them busy. Learning a trade during holidays, according to the youth, will enable them acquire skills which will be beneficial to them in future. Vanessa Vultnang Namsung completes that story in Garwa.
Weaving and embroidery are activities passionately carried out during the holidays by Sandrine and Sukaira, Form 5 and Lower 6th students. I came here to learn weaving and embroidery so as to stay away from unnecessary outings. I had the help of my parents. I was given the opportunity to learn how to weave and embroider clothes. Their trainer, the owner of a workshop at the Garwa Handicraft Village, says drilling these school children is his own way of curbing juvenile delinquency, often observed during holidays.
I accept these young girls during holidays to prevent them from loitering, and I know this will help them in the future.
When these articles are sold, the teenagers receive a token which they save for their school needs, arts which they believe will be profitable in future.
Our Discovery page tonight takes us to the Crocodile Park of Boboyo in the far north, the Garwa Zoological Garden in the north, and leisure spots around the River Vori in the littoral region. They are a must visit as they provide spectacular landscapes, breathtaking views and wildlife that most people have as much as heard of. Let's take a trip with Beatrice Lasamba.
An hour's ride from Marua, the Boboyo Crocodile Lake, enveloped by outcrops of rocks, gives tourists and researchers an interesting scenario to feed their eyes on. Crocodiles, relatives of those of the Nile, stick their heads out of the 8-meter deep water, hardly scaring away animals. A wonder to tourists, they don't mean any harm. The Crocodile Lake of Boboyo, an important animal park in what is fondly called the country's most beautiful region. Over 200 kilometers away, Garwa Zoological Garden is a magnet to tourists. Home to a wide variety of animals whose favorite habitat is the savanna region. Interesting to watch our friends on 4 feet do the skipping about. The 50-year-old park draws thousands of visitors yearly. Leisure spots around the Vuri River in the littoral region are tourist traps. This leisure spot, nested 700 meters away from the main road, offers visitors fresh fish from the sea around a cozy environment. What's more, visitors can enjoy a boat ride across the Vuri estuary and the mangroves lined with water birds.
Quite lovely images there, Beatrice. And that's why we call it quits tonight. And thanks for being there. Join Atabadine Umar at 8:30 for the news in French. And I'll be here tomorrow, same time, God willing. The technical crew join me in wishing you a pleasant evening. Bye for now.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.